right now. So as I've showed you how to use the C in and the C out, and then that C in is to capture in the keyboard, C out is to display in the screen. So today we are going to move a little bit further. Dash include IO stream. Now you know when I write IO stream, what is the meaning of that? So the purpose of this program today, or this lesson today, we are going to discuss about the while loop. While loop and what is while and everything. And okay, before even we go there, I'm gonna write a code whereby the first thing I'm just gonna, but my purpose is to do the while loop, but we're just gonna do a small exercise, some other things so that you can get familiar with what we are doing. So I have already mentioned to you the data types we have: float, double, uh, float, double, string, int, and then bool. So now with this, you can write a program. Let's say the purpose of this program is decimal numbers. So if we have to add two decimal numbers, every time when you want to do that, you must have a declaration. For declaring a decimal, we can use float x. Then you can ask a user to enter those numbers to digit. So after that, user to enter those digits, you can use a CE, use this way x and y. So two digits. So because we are going to add them, you can have a C out. In your C out here, you can say x plus y, or you can just say the sum of, put a double quotation mark, x, the sum of x, you can put the sum of x plus y equal to, let's do that, you put less there, then you say equals to, say x. You can even make a space if you want, there will be a space, or even if you want to make a space, you can make a space here, and you can just say x. So this one is going to, code is going to add those two numbers. So if I run I compile my code, it have a problem here, we didn't put a semicolon. Let me compile again to check if there are no errors. Then we can run our code. It will ask me enter two decimal numbers. Decimal numbers, I can enter 10.44. I can enter 1,66. 1,66. So the sum of x and y equals to 11,44. So now when it says 11,44 is because of I use a comma there, not dot. So that's why this code is not giving an accurate answer, because it does not understand the comma. But if one comma now is going to give you the right answer. The sum of x plus y equals to 12.1. So if you check here, y is closer to x, is closer, y is closer to equal sign. Is closer to equal sign because in our code here, we didn't put a space. We can even put a space if you want to make it look good or attractive. Then you can use any digits, 2,5 and 3, let me just build it again and run. So we can use 2.5 and 1 comma. Okay, what's going on? Let me check with my code block. Okay, it's just showing me a lot of things here. All right, so we can use 2.5 enter maybe 1.3, and it's gonna show you that the sum of x and y. So you see, when I put there in the code, I end up putting semicolon there. You see, it's also appearing. You can just go to the code here. Like that. So that's how you write it. So you can write many code based on this. You can use this method. Even if for subtraction, you can just, if you want to subtract, you can just change here in the header. But this one is just the comment, remember? So let's go to a while loop. What is a while loop? And then why do we do a loop? I'm gonna erase this. So the purpose of this code is going to be, this lesson, we are going to discuss about why is a loop. In other words, what is that what? When you understand the meaning of a loop is something, it's looping. A loop is something that is continuously happening. So when we say something that is continuously happening, it can be a repetition, it can be a repeat. Something that is, when we say repeating, it can be a number. For example, we can be, you can want to print maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see, so instead of you to be printing this, a computer can start printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see, so imagine if you have to print starting from 1, you have to type from 1 going until 1000. It's going to be a lot of work for you to do that. So we can just loop it. So it's something that is repeating but having different numbers. So sometimes it can be something that is repeating but with the same thing. Same thing, for example, you might want to write, maybe to repeat something 5 times. Maybe you want to repeat it, stop, 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 and stop. You see, so this same thing that is happening but it's repeating. So sometimes when we loop, we can loop something that is continuously happening, like for example electricity, 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 electricity. You can use a loop, you can loop, or you can use while loop or for loop. You can loop electricity based on, in the wire, the current is going to be moving. So the more it's moving, we can loop it. We say, okay, when this current, like for example, in your home, when you buy electricity, you can buy 50 units, kilowatt, what kilo unit. So those units that you buy there, the moment when it's 0, it stopped. They stop, like your electricity, it could cut off. You won't have electricity. So which means we can loop it. We say that while the units are not less than 0, which means there's electricity, the current must keep flowing at your house. It must flow. But the moment when it's 0, which means the current must stop. So in those kind of phenomena or on those kind of issues, we use a looping. We use a while loop or for loop. We loop them. So even if you are working in terms of maybe in a water affairs, in water affairs, always in your house, especially if you are staying in town or you are staying in the places with water. So your water, if you got a bill, it keeps flowing, but if you don't pay, it does switch off. To some of the flats or some of the buildings, they only switch off automatically without anybody coming. So some, they just have to come and switch it off. But if nobody's coming and then they are using computer, the program is using the loop. So now, a while loop is about repeating. So the format of while loop is this way. You write while, and then when you say while, inside here you can put expression. So I'm going to write a program with you that is going to print stop 5 times. So we must have an initialization. In while loop, we must have initialization. We must have an initialization state. Initialization is we use, you can say int, for example, you can use I or you can use X, any letter that you prefer. You can start at 1. Int I equals to 1. So when you say int I equals to 1, we can say, because we want to print stop 5 times, you can say while my I is less than or equals to 5, what must it do? It must see out. So now in this, if I just write a program like this and I run it, it will run, it won't have any problem. But this program is not going to work according to how we want it. So if I run it, it's going to be an infinity loop. It's gonna just print hello non-stop. You see hello, stop, 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 until the computer crashes. So we can also put an end line here just to. Now the problem part is that while this I, there is nothing that is changing I. So I is always going to remain as 1, and 1 is going to be always greater, less than, or equals to 5. So we have things that we must take into account. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, or both of them in the same time, we have increment and a decrement. Means increment means increase. Ne? Yeah. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes you might find that I'm speaking alone, so that's why I need to ask. So increment means increase, and when we say increase and decrement means decrease. So this increase that we are talking about in computer science, we write, you can say I plus plus. When we say I plus plus, this I plus plus, it means to increment, you increment by 1. It increment. So which means is going to be adding 1. So if I put here, I say I, then it's gonna print stop. When it finds a computer comes to this step, it's gonna change 1 to be 2. Then it goes back now with 2. It's 2 less than 3. One that is true. Then it changes until this statement inside the expression is false. Then it's gonna print 6. Then it goes to 6 less than 5. It found that is false. Then it stop. So that's how the computer will be thinking. So if I run this code, now it will run perfectly. So as I'm still discussing, based on the increment and the decrement. The first other thing that you must know, you can write this statement here. Instead of writing it this way, you can also write it as I equals to I plus 1. When we work with the increment, it does not necessarily mean that you have to always increase by 1. You might be writing a code whereby you want to print even numbers. So even numbers, we know that they start at 2. Maybe you want to print even number from 2 until 10. Let's give you an example. So in order for you to do that, you will see that in order for you to print for your increment, you have to increment it by 2. So which means when we increment by 2, you can say xi equals to I plus what? Plus 2. Then it's going to increment by 2. Or sometimes if you don't want to write this way, you can also say this is the same as the same thing here. You can also say I plus equals to 1. It's still the same. Or even in this one, you can say I plus equals to 2. It's still the same thing. So everything that I'm showing you based on the increment is the same on the increment is the same way as for the decrement. So for decrement, as I've said, decrement is about decreasing. It means decrease. So when we talk about the decrease, for decrease, if because I'm using letter I, you can still use letter X on or any letter. You put minus. This means decrease. This means decrease by 1. And then you can say it's still the same. Everything what I have been doing, instead of plus, you can just substitute what? You can just use a negative. You can just change positive to negative. I equals to I minus 1 is still the same, is decreased by 1. Or if you want to decrease by 2, I equals to I minus 2. And you can still write it as also I minus equals to 1. It still means that it's going to decrease by 1 or increment by 1. So you can also write this one as I equals to I minus equals to 2. It will decrement by 2. So the moment when you understand about the decrement and the increment, that's when you won't have any problem when you are working or when you are coding with while loop, or when you are doing something that involve programming or code that involve a while loop. So now let's go to our code. I'm gonna change it back where it was. Now I have this code here. This code, I'm going to build it or compile it. I'm going to compile it. There are no errors. Then when we run our code, you will see that it's going to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop, 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 stop. 5 times. So which means it's because of this increment is incrementing by 1. So let's say I want to print even numbers. Let's say I want to print even numbers from starting from even numbers from 2 until 10. I can just change my code to that, to 10. Then I will put I here because I want to print 2, 4, 6. It's going to start by printing 2. Then it changes here. I will change my I to be equals to I plus equals to plus equal to 2. So it's going to increment by 2. So when I change my I plus equals to 2, then it's gonna keep changing. It's gonna change to 2 to 4, then it change to 6, 8 until 10. So let me run my code. There are no errors. Okay, I'm running now. I was building the code. So you can see it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we just printed an even numbers. You can want to start maybe print an odd numbers. When you print an odd number, you just change the initialization to start at 1, because if you add 2 plus 1, it's going to give you 3. 3 plus 2 is going to give you 4. So this one is going to print an odd numbers. So you can see, okay, I have to first compile my code. Sorry, I'm just being fast, I think, okay. Or is the computer or what? Okay, yes, okay. So now I just built my code, run. You can see it's 3, 6, 5, 7, 9. Those are odd numbers. So you can use a while loop to do a lot of things with a while loop. So do you have any questions so far?
So far, I don't have any questions.
Understand what we are doing?
Yes, but actually, I want you to explain again the part for the odd numbers. I did not capture that here.
Part 4?
For odd numbers.
Odd numbers, okay. Remember, odd numbers start at 1,
One
3,
and the
6,
two.
1, 3, 5, 7. Eh? So you know that if we start at 1, if we say 1 plus 2, it's going to give you 3. You get what I'm saying? That one is mathematics now. Do you understand what is odd numbers? That's the first thing. What
Yes.
are odd numbers? What are odd numbers?
I can't I don't know how to define it, but
Not define what. Give me odd number from 1 to 10.
1, 3, 7,
Plus
9,
5,
11,
not like
13. Yes.
okay. So now you know. So the difference from 1 until 3, the difference is 2, is it?
Yes.
Then it means that if we increment by 2 and we start at 1, it's going to say 1 plus 2 is going to give you 3. You see that? Then it comes
Yes.
with 3. Is 3 less than 10? It found that is true. Then it print 3 here. When it print 3, it added 2 again. 3 plus 2 is 5. It comes with 5. Is 5 less than, like that? So the odd number start at 1. That's what you must remember. And the even number start at 2. So that's why from even number here I draw 2, because it's 2, 4, 6. Even number is 1, 3. So that's why in odd numbers I'm writing 1, because in odd numbers is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yes. 11, 13.
So for even numbers, can I say int I equals to 2?
Yes, for even
I
numbers.
greater than, and then C out I, and then I plus minus I plus equals to 2 to get a 4.
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. For odd number, you started with 1. So that's the ideal of this program. That's how you must do it actually.
Okay, I think I got confused there where you say C out I. Remember for the even numbers, you hold C out and you
I only change the for even and odd. The code remains the same.
the same. Oh, okay.
So the point with programming that I will give you, you don't have to come and cram. You don't have to cram. Yes, if you start cramming in the exam, it's going to be different. They won't ask you this. This is just the basics that you need to understand what's going on. And then the most important thing here, I'm teaching you about while loop. The most important thing that you must take into account is, okay, while loop, it have an expression inside, and this is how you write an expression. The second thing you must remember that when you're working with a while loop, you must have a condition for stopping condition so that it can stop a while loop. Because if you don't have an increment, the while loop, it will never stop. And then the other one is initialization. Where is it going to start? Yes. Because writing a while loop, you can be writing a complicated program based on the while loop. When I say that, you can write a sequence. For example, you can program a sequence. There are some patterns whereby you can find that the pattern start maybe with 1, 3, 5, like that. This is kind of like a pattern. So this pattern, if we check it, it's an arithmetic sequence. Right? They can ask you to program a pattern like Mara. They won't really say that. It will depend on the examiner, how the examiner is going to that exam. So, but when you are here, just remember that you are in while loop, you initialize, you write a while loop, and then inside the body, you must also have what a stopping criteria. Sometimes you can have, instead of this, I will show you now when we are dealing with this while loop. You can also have, you might not even use this increment and decrement. You can even stop it using this line inside the line there. So you will see when we do those kind of programs. So I'm not gonna, with this one here, I'm not gonna give you a lot of information. I mean, when I say a lot of information, I mean, I'm not gonna teach you everything today because you will have to practice and understand how it works. Because if I just give you things, you will think this module is very hard, and this module is not even hard. Just need like for you to understand. So let's say we want to write a program that will ask a user to enter any numbers. We want to write a program that will ask a user to enter any numbers, and when a user is done entering those numbers, you must press -1. Let's say we are asking a user to enter. We ask a user, we say cout any positive number and then press -1. Exit. So this is our code that we have asked a user to enter. So which means the user will have to see in. We're gonna have a see in. So when we have a see in, we can say see in X. But when we say see in X, remember I've taught you that you cannot just say X, you must declare it. We can say int. We have declared it. So because we want to ask, user can enter as even 10,000 numbers, we don't care. As long as it's a positive number, then we can use a while loop. We say while X is not, this means not equal to. While X is not equals to, is not, while X, or we can say while X is greater than, is greater than 0, greater equals to 0, then what must happen? We need it to keep asking a user, like it must keep entering. We say X like that. So this program that I just wrote here is going to allow a user to enter as many numbers as possible as long as they are positive. How we're gonna run our code? There are no, build our code, there are no errors. Then now we can run our code. Enter any positive number and press positive number and press -1 to exit the code. So if I can enter 10, it's still positive. I can enter 11, it's still positive. I can enter 44, it's positive. I can enter 1, it's positive. I can enter 0, it's fine. 11 is okay. I can enter 20. At the moment when I enter a number less than 0, if I enter -1, the program stopped. You see that? Hello?
Hello.
So do you see that when you enter -1,
-1, yes.
yes. So this one here, we made an int X, we see in the number, but we ask a user, say while X is less than or equals to 0, then see in X. So this statement here is gonna keep asking a user to enter any positive number, and then while, or you can even say, like you can even make it, for example, if you wanted also a user to include negative numbers, but not only the number that you don't want a user to enter -1. You can say while X is not equal to -1.
-1.
Then it must do what? It must keep entering those numbers. So that's what you can do. So this is a while loop. So I'm not going to show you a lot with this while loop today. We're still going to continue with it. So if you go to your study guide, I'm gonna go with you with the study guide. documents download. If you don't know, okay, course 1512. What is school here? School. So if you go to your study guide here, in course 1511, the first thing that we did here, remember we already discussed about the first integer. You are now and about the variables assessments. This one is the one that we haven't covered. We're going to cover it later. You know what is floating point. Floating point are decimal numbers. This one we are still coming to it. Then we are here in lesson. We are dealing with lesson what? 9, which is page 95. But after this one, we're going to go back to if statement and this one. I might even start with this one, then come to if statement or if statement. Then we're going to proceed. So now in your code block here, if you go to your, what is it? It's 95. See a while loop, they will show you, they will show you with a kind of like complicated or program, but you can follow it now. You can see your float 5, they are showing you that, okay, instead of, remember, imagine you have to print float price 1, price 2, price 3 total. You want to add those two numbers. They are going to be teaching you there. Then they will teach you that, okay, instead of writing a lot, you can write a C++ while loop whereby you have a condition and a statement in a body. If the statement condition is false, then your while loop stopped. I already showed you that. If it's true, the statement execute. So you can go through that. Then you will have a small code there writing. They will teach you about increment, but they won't really mention it the way I have said to you. They will just show you this is decrease by 1 maybe. You can follow this code of theirs here if you are studying. Then you can do that. There are still many things that we haven't discussed, as I've said. So in this lesson, let me see, they will ask you, what is the least number of times? This is just an exercise that I wanted to do with you now, but not all the questions. What is the least number of times the body of a while loop can be executed? So the body of a while loop, it can be executed to infinity. You saw it when we are typing stop, it would type stop non-stop. So it can be infinite, not infinite, yeah, infinite. So here there is a code, you can follow them. Here this one, it says, this one you will do it later, not today. It says when Wongi's new baby, Sipho, was born, she opened a saving account with 1,000 on each birthday, starting with the first. The bank added interest of 4.5% of the balance, and Wongi added another 500 Rand to the account. Write a loop that will calculate how much money was in the account on Sipho's 18th birthday. So you can use a while loop to do this. The other one is, these ones, they are more like tricky, but you can try them. They are not really hard. You can also try them, but after reading those, everything there, if you have time to read it, then you practice. Yeah. So this one here, this one is gonna help you based on the, let's say, for example, a user, you can be writing a program whereby they can say to you, write a program whereby it's going to ask a user, or like you're writing a program, not always is about a user. You can write a program that teachers will be entering in the results, then you will have to add them. Those results, you will have to get the average. Then after getting the average, you will have to maybe tell the teacher or the person that the average pass of this class is 50 something or 60. is good or they need improvement, you can use a while loop to check that. That's good thing about the while loop. Any question?
So far, no. No
Right.
question.
Okay, just give me 1 minute. If you say you don't have a question, it means you're understanding everything that I'm teaching you, and which is a very good.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So if you understand, I'm going to test you, and I will see that you really understand what we are doing. Because I don't want to teach a person and fail. See?
Yes.
Yeah. Because let me warn you, eh? You see UNISA, it's an online. So normally I will advise you that it's better you study. Don't come with that mindset of you will find somebody to help you with the exam. It does not really work properly. You will end up failing. You won't graduate with it. Trust me. Because the problem part, you might be sending pictures that are not visible. Sometimes you might be frustrated. So if you prepare, you go and write by yourself. Many people that I teach will go and write by themselves. They pass well. They don't fail at all. Even if like they didn't really pass well, you can see that person got 50 something, but because of the modules are not the same, there are some modules they are very difficult, some they are very easy. So I will advise you to all your modules that prepare them, make sure you are ready to do the exam. So don't
Okay.
come with that mindset whereby you will say, I will get somebody to help me, it won't work. Trust me. Remember that what I told you at the end, yeah.
All right.
All right. Write a program. Please, when I give you the work, try to do it. I'm just formulating this question. Write a program. Will ask a user the number of display and display what it was doing. Let me just not give. Which one should I use here? In this code here, what you are going to do, you are writing a code that will ask a user to enter the number of times the loop must have occur or must happen, and then display the square of the number. So a user, if he can enter 3, for example, it must say, for example, if the user enter 3, the code will start with 1. Eh? So say 1 squared. 1 squared is what? 1 to the power 2 to be 1 to the power 2 is 2. Then after that, it must go to 2 to the power what? Power 2. Then it must go to 2 power 2, 3 to the power 2, then 3 to the power 2. Then after that, because the user asks, say 3 times, then it must stop. If a user enter, let's say 6 or 5, it must continue until 1, 2, 3, squaring them and display them in the screen. So this is the question that you can do for me. As you say, you understand at least what we just did now.
Okay, should I try it now?
Yes.
All right.
You will tell me when I are done.
Can you please go up? I want to see the code. There's something I want to check.
One is different. Remember, it's not the same as this question.
Yes, I just want to confirm something. Can you please go up?
All right.